Okay, so this is how to fit and fill a piping bag, as well as how to pipe a rosette. So the piping bags are in this little container, they're in a roll. So all you gotta do is pull it out, find the little perforated line, and then just tear it out. Okay. So you got it torn out, and then you'll open your piping bag. And the piping bags will either be on top of the microwave or underneath the microwave table. And then once you've got your bag open, you'll slide your piping tip in. And the piping tip that we're using is a Wilton M1, and that's engraved in the top of the piping tip, and it's this little spiky star looking thing. So you take your piping tip, drop it in the bag, make sure that the pointy is sticking towards the out of the bag, and then so this way you can gauge about where you need to cut your hole in the bag so your piping tip doesn't fall out. So you probably need to cut it about here or so. So you can scooch the piping tip back, grab your pair of scissors, cut it, and you can always cut more off. So it's always better to be on the more cautious side. Look at that, perfect fit. So once you've got your piping tip in your piping bag, then you'll start to roll the edges over. And this is to create a collar. And then you can open it a little bit. You can stick your hand underneath here, or you can ask a friend to hold it open for you while you put filling in it. But for the purpose of the video, I'm just gonna use one hand. And then you'll take your cream cheese frosting, and this stays at room temperature. And the piping bags will also stay at room temperature while they're in use. There'll be backups in the fridge, but the ones that are currently being used will be kept out at room temperature. And then you'll take a scoop of your frosting, and you kind of like slap it down so it gets to the bottom of the bag. So you got your icing, and then you kind of hit it down there. You can shove it down there, or you can take your collar and then shake it, and that gets it all the way down to the bottom. And then once you got that bottom started, it gets a little bit easier to fill. So you just keep adding, and then you can scrape it against the side of your hand, so you're not taking any icing out. You're wanting it to go in. Like that. Probably about 3 or 4 scoops is the most manageable with these size of bags, especially for beginners. And then once you have your icing in the bag, you see we've got like little air pockets places. So this is called burping the bag. So you just kind of like squeeze it, make sure all of those air pockets are out. So when you're piping, you don't have something like pop and then spray all over donut or whatever. So you burp the bag, and then you can bring all of the excess icing down. And then you kind of bunch up this top part right here. So you bunch it up, and then you twist to create some pressure inside the bag, so you can feel that there's more pressure building up in there than when it was just flat, so it's all like loosey-goosey. And this way, it's nice and firm. You can control the pressure. So like now I'm not really pushing, but here I am. So that's how you fit and fill a piping bag. And then I will show you how to pipe a rosette over here. Okay. So right here, I have some that I have already done. They're pretty simple. They look a little more complicated than what they are. It's basically just a swirl. And as I've kind of drawn here, you just start in the inside and go about 1 loop on the outside and then stop. So I'll show you how to do that. Don't watch that. So you go inside, out, and then you want to release the pressure. So releasing the pressure, I'm not maintaining the same amount of pressure throughout, so I'm releasing my hand from the bag. So if you want to look at my hands, this is me releasing that pressure. And there will be a practice bag in the fridge or left out for you guys, so you can practice piping them. And all you'll have to do is practice piping them whenever you're done, or if your bag runs out of icing, just take the icing off the parchment sheet and then scoop it right back in here, because we won't be using this for customers or for donuts. This is solely for practice, just so we can improve our skills a little bit better. You can do this before, after a shift. You can do it during a shift if it's slow enough. Just make sure you check with the manager or shift lead to make sure that it's okay for you to spend some time practicing that. But it's super simple, literally just inside and out. Inside swirl, outside. And that's it. And that is how you pipe a rosette, fill a piping bag, and fit a piping bag with a piping tip.